So starting from scratch with Longsword, my name is Anthony Bonomo with Austin Historical Weapons Guild. I fixed the audio issues, but the video isn't the greatest, so work in progress. Hopefully something better for next time. Regardless, today we're going to jump into Longsword. So demonstrate again with, obviously this is what Longsword looks like. Put it in two hands. I'll be using, for most of the demonstration, a simple wooden dowel. One of my favorite things to talk about is you can always pick up anything and learn to fight with these. Wooden dowel looking for 48 inches long, a little bit longer, you need a broomstick. Wither out the broom at the end is fine. Anything like this, any stick you have, is enough of a starting point to start working through the basics. So first thing is obviously coming into grip, and I'm demonstrating with the actual longsword trainer, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with cross guards and things like that, and then we'll do it again with the dowel. So first thing, gripping the sword, you always want your dominant hand on top. We're looking for what we call a handshake grip. So most people grab it kind of like this kind of hammer grip where your forearm is perpendicular to the blade, to the handle. We're not looking for that. We're looking as if someone is holding it out for us, and we're going to shake hands with it. We're coming in almost 45-degree angle. And our primary grip is the bottom fingers there. So just like this, opposite hand comes in underneath, and I'm a big fan, starting off especially, nice close together. When you're cutting, when you're engaging, starting from the beginning, you don't want to hold the pommel. There's lots of various reasons for that, but day one, learning how to hold the sword, learning how to cut with the sword, keep your hands close together. There are times later we'll switch grips, move to other positions, but just working on this kind of locked position here. So again, doing the same thing with our wooden dowel. Most likely the last we'll see of the longsword this week. So same type of grip, coming in here, acting like we're shaking hands with it, gripping here, leaving those top fingers nice and loose. Bottom opposite hand comes in, braces from here. So again, how we grip the sword. Our cross would be sitting here, diagonal sticking up. But for starting off for today, especially, it doesn't matter. Getting this grip, getting this to be solid is important. So why is this important? Talked about it a little bit last time on Monday with the single sword in one hand. Even more important with a larger weapon like this. So I don't know if you can really see very well, but if I go back to that hammer grip, there's a lot of movement, a lot of play here. No matter how hard I squeeze with my index finger and lock over my thumb and all those other tricks like that, there's a lot of motion that I generate as much as I try to resist it, right? And this is lack of power, lack of structure. This is bad things happening to you in a sword fight. As I switch to this handshake grip, gripping with my bottom fingers, really locking the handle into this kind of groove. Again, this groove right here in your palm, give you a much stronger grip. And as I try to manipulate and move this, it's much harder to manipulate when I get both hands on it. It's a very solid, very rigid lock. So with that in mind, starting from here, one of the most difficult things to do with longsword is learning the proper style, proper tempo, proper motion for a good cut. I'll release a video later this week, probably on Saturday, detailing this a little bit more detailed, but starting off with guard positions, working from here, if our primary goal is a good strong cut, easiest thing to do is go up to this high position up above our heads. So things to note, things to pay attention to is I'm going to keep my arms fairly straight. I didn't say straight, I mean not at the point where they're locked out, but that 80-90% straight, no very little bend, locked from here. As I keep this structured grip on my sword or my stick, notice that it's not back, right? If I go back to that hammer grip and I hold the sword like this, my sword is all the way behind me. It's horizontal. I don't want that because when I throw this cut, you can see my hands are in front, my hands are in front, my hands are in front until right about here, the sword comes into the fight. If I go to that handshake grip and hold the sword above my head, now here, sword's already in front of my hands as I pull through, moving like that. So that hand shape grip will give you more protection, more safety for your hands as you're working on this. And also, my favorite word, it gives you structure, it gives you power, it gives you the ability to push through targets with your body and not with your muscles, or not just by effectively throwing the sword out there. So just working on this position. So as far as the rest of your stance goes, you're going to want your dominant leg back. And we are standing roughly shoulder width apart. And there's a little bit of bend to my knees, a little bit of hinge to my hips here. And this is a good starting default position. So I've got a little bit of spring, I've got a little bit of pressure, a little bit of presence forward, but I'm not all the way upright, right like this. I'm not just here, He-Man, right? I'm up, but I'm braced. I'm ready to lean and engage and drive forward. The other thing that makes longsword fighting, or any kind of sword fighting, much more difficult is that we have to unlearn years of natural habit. Whenever we think about throwing an object from our hands, right? We plant, we step, then we throw. Alternatively, throw and follow through. Either way, no matter how you're doing this, you're stepping and driving after. With a sword, that's a terrible idea. At least you're starting off. So a lot of this advice I'm having, a lot of these pronouncements, there's always a caveat. There's always a, unless you know what's going on. And I'm sure you can come up with dozens of options and times where you wouldn't want to do that. And I'm sure later through these videos and other lessons, I'll go ahead and contradict myself and say to do opposite things, or even to say, you know what, it's a lie, we're going to do things the other way now. But it's important to learn the fundamentals like this. So when I'm moving, I do not want to step forward and cut. Because that's doing, this is a sword fight, being close to the other person's weapon without a weapon in front of me to protect myself. With longsword, this is your shield and your weapon. So you want your weapon, sorry, your shield out in front of you before you close that distance. So this means it's very important that as I'm going to step forward, my arms have to go first. And my arms have to be powered and structured to move through everything else. And that tempo, that timing, that distance of, I'm here, I want to cut, arms go, then your feet go. Right? So really just focusing now, pull through your shoulders, engage your back, pulling straight down. And then as you step, your hips engage, and it helps pull the sword across. So again, from the front, so you can see, I'm up high, nice neutral position, sword is up, I pull through, and I step down. And just getting this motion is far harder than I've made it sound right now. I can promise you that much. But just working through this, making this a smooth, easy, consistent motion is so critical to advancing in any kind of sword play. So a little bit more into the nuance and nitty-gritty of how this works, why this works. So you've seen other videos that kind of break this down this way, and I think it's a very effective way of learning how to engage your cuts and how to power your motions, which is to say that we'll always be doing this, but the vast majority of the time, we want to be engaging in this manner. So with our sword high, and now I'm setting kind of a neutral stance, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to pull straight down. I'm only doing this using my back, using my lats. I'm not collapsing my arms and pushing this out. I'm not kind of chopping wood and coming over and driving to the ground. I'm up here. I'm in that little He-Man house defined by my forearms above me. I pull straight down and I stop. Right? Nice and easy, pulling mechanics down and through. When I want the sword to move left and right, let's say I'm over here, it's hard for me not to do this right. I don't sit here and like move my arms and flail them across like a baseball bat, right? That's good for instantaneous power. but it's not good for sword fighting. Instead, when I want to cut horizontally, purely hips. Arms stay straight, hips move. And obviously, once I start combining these two actions, purely vertical motion here, hips, everything's together. So that is kind of the core of how you want to move the longsword. So anytime we're moving the sword up and down, think about moving your shoulders, moving from your back, feeling from your core, right? This is all we're doing. When I'm moving left to right, just moving hips. And this drill, or these 3 drills basically, right? Just this horizontal piece, the vertical piece, and then putting it together is easily enough to train for a long time. You can start up here as you pull, step, and now that hip rotation is taken care of as you step forward, right? So my hips are here as I step, there, right? Just this little bit of motion, that's all I really need to pull through. So as I'm high, I start to pull down, and I step. And you want this reproducible. You want this to happen without thinking about it. You want this to be automatic, bordering on instinct. And it's not easy, and it's not fun, and it gets pretty boring, but that's martial arts, right? Instead of lining up and doing kicks for 20 minutes, just working basic cuts, basic motions. So, other things you can start to play with beyond this, right? So, if you watch my Facebook videos at all, they're still on the Historical Weapons Guild Facebook page if you'd like. The idea of tempos and steps is really important and really starts to build in to kind of the next level of where this should be going. We're never going to be in a fight squaring up, throwing a cut, and stopping and being done, right? The fight's not over. You've thrown a cut in motion, but you need to do more. So really getting used to this idea that as you throw a cut, landing under your hips, able to move, so you can step through with another action, moving through here. And that's a whole lot to think about and develop for your first actions. So instead of worrying about a second cut, just take a second step. Pull the sword back up, point forward, anything like that. From here, you step and pull, just check it out, and move through. And it's a really good and useful trick to just not fall in this pit of, all right, I threw a cut, now it's going to happen. Because if you tell yourself that one cut is the end of what your goals are, you're going to stick here. You're going to freeze, you're going to get stuck, you might even overstep and step too far forward, which makes moving a lot harder. If you get yourself in the mindset of throw a cut and keep stepping, no matter what you do afterward, this is easy to train into a real action. Right? Once you're comfortable, familiar with the weapon, being able to go here and then pick up to move, that's easy. But if you train yourself to do this and just drill this big, long, powerful step, it's not going to, unintended, get you very far. So really focusing on throw a cut, take another step. No matter where you start, bring your sword. We can drill that later. But just taking that extra step after this first cut is so important, so useful for future work, future sword play. So that's me for today. Just a short, quick intro to Longsword. We'll do more of this next Wednesday, starting at 7:30 again. If you guys have questions, feel free to comment below. Shoot me an email at the school page or through Facebook, anything like that. It all works. Have a good night, guys, and we'll be in on Friday for Sword and Buckler.